Hello and welcome from Budapest. This is Hungary Reports from Public Media M1, bringing you the latest news from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin in English. I'm Árpád Szőci. Thanks for tuning in. Hungary's Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister said that every person has the right to live in peace and security in his or her homeland, and that distributing migrants does not solve the problems of Africa. That's what Péter Szijjártó said in New York while attending a UN session. He said that Hungary has always been saying that you have to solve problems at the source, where people are fleeing. And Szijjártó believes that Hungary is a leader when it comes to international aid, having spent significant amounts of money on improving agriculture and water management in some African nations. Furthermore, the Hungary Helps program has rebuilt churches and communities in the Middle East so that people don't have to leave their homelands.
I think there are two messages.
We have spent $40 million in the Middle East and in the sub-Saharan Africa, namely in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Nigeria, Ethiopia, to help the Christian communities to be able to stay at home and to strengthen their own communities. With rebuilding torn-down houses, churches, schools and hospitals, we have helped more than 50,000 people in need to be able to stay in their homes or to return as soon as possible. And I think this should be a very important mission.
A third round of tenders are now available to help Hungary's construction industry. The government is making €9 million available so that companies can apply for help in purchasing up-to-date machinery. In fact, engineering offices can also get development money. The construction industry is struggling to fill positions. If they could, they'd get more contracts to build than what they're doing now. It's hoped that this financial boost will change things.
They're cutting the bricks on the slab structure of this smart home being built. A smart home of 18 apartments will soon be built in downtown Békéscsaba. The apartments will be completely automated. Heating and cooling will be supplied by the Earth's heat. We will be using geothermal energy that will be extracted from the heat of the Earth. This will result in zero emissions and long-term steadily available amount of energy, the project manager György Achilles said. Such investments are also supported financially by the government. This year they have already spent almost €18 million on upgrading technology for small and medium-sized enterprises. And now an extra almost €9 million can be applied for. The State Secretary of the Ministry of Innovation and Technology emphasized that in addition to the purchase of modern equipment and machinery, the amount can also be spent on the development of engineering companies, such as buying software. Government assistance requires companies to commit to increasing their productivity, reducing their costs and raising wages. And next year, the government plans to launch another €17.9 million worth of tenders. Thanks to the non-refundable subsidy, the construction industry grew by more than 20% last year. According to experts, the growth of this year could reach as much as 30%.
In just over half an hour, a robber may have committed 15 crimes. In February, he escaped from Budapest's Central Court building, according to police. He took a guard's gun and took another guard hostage. He then ran onto the street, still bound with leg shackles, and forced a car driver to take him away. However, he was caught a few kilometers farther down. And now he might even get a life sentence.
The police made public the voice recording, which was made a few minutes after the fugitive had been caught on Szentmihalyi Road. He stopped a silver Mercedes on the road, pointed a gun towards the driver, so the driver got out of the car because he didn't know what the man wanted. Then the perpetrator opened the back door of the car to sit inside, but the driver's wife was sitting there, so a struggle began between the driver and the fugitive. He held a gun pointing at the people and then on the police, who got out of their cars. This is when the police started to take aimed shots at him after a warning shot. This is what can be heard on the tape. The man who had escaped from the Budapest court in Markó Street was caught in 35 minutes by the police. He managed to obtain a guard's gun and he fled the courtroom with his ankle chain still on him. He took a security guard hostage in the court building using his stolen gun, and he stopped an all-terrain vehicle on the street. A car's security camera recorded how the prisoner hopped out of the van 10 kilometers away from the court building near Szentmihalyi Road and started walking towards the cars holding the stolen gun. The ankle chain of the man can clearly be seen on the tape. After this, he approached the Mercedes, stopped at the intersection. He pointed the gun towards me, but I caught his hand and pushed it down. He tried to shoot at me, but he didn't succeed. We had a struggle, he fell and he dropped the gun. The driver of the Mercedes were called. After this, the prisoner tried to escape on foot as well, but the police stopped him with 8 shots. He suffered life-threatening injuries, but since then he has recovered. Currently, he is back in prison. The investigation has found out that the captive could have committed some 15 crimes within those 35 minutes, between his escape and capture. If the court finds him guilty, he could even get life imprisonment.
Budapest has just gotten another playground, this time in the 8th district. This one is also designed to accommodate the physically challenged so that children with disabilities and those without can learn early on to accept one another and integrate better into society. The country's state-owned gambling service also sponsors the program, and many similar playgrounds have already been built across the country.
Let's take it to the right. Disabled youth were the first ones to try out the new Cifrapalota playground in Budapest. All elements of the playground were constructed in a way so that both children with and without disabilities could play without worry. Either with a wheelchair or without, children can play here together. Here, even the merry-go-round is barrier-free, so anyone can ride on it easily and safely. You can also play music, play in the sand, play board games and games of logic. These are all designed in a way so that visually impaired children can also enjoy them. The appearance was also a very important aspect. All objects depict some sort of folktale. I think the best way to teach kids that disabled children can play with healthy children is at a young age. From then on, this will become a natural thing for them, and so in adulthood they can continue to look at those with disabilities the same way, Zoltán Tóth said. The Cifrapalota was built in the capital's 8th district.
The national gallop, which is rather similar to races in Roman times, takes place again at Híradó Square in Budapest mid-October. There you'll see the best riders from Hungarian communities in the Carpathian Basin competing for various titles. Plus, there are other equestrian-related and folk art programs, all carried out at one of Hungary's most famous landmarks, which will be temporarily transformed thanks to 6,200 square meters of special equine-friendly sand.
The national gallop last year was won by an equestrian rider from the Hungarian minority in Temerin, Serbia. Arnold Nagy came in first in the saddle of his horse named Fantasy. With this achievement, he received the main prize, 15,000 euros, a sabre from 1848, and an opportunity to compete again in this year's finals. Last year's winner is preparing to retain the title. However, he said it won't be easy, considering all the pressure. I feel well, but now that the gallop is approaching, I'm getting a bit stressed out, Arnold Nagy said. The equestrians of 72 settlements will sit in their saddles, and altogether 12 qualifying rounds will be organized to qualify for the finals. There will be carriage driving and small cavalry gallop this year as well, along with numerous related programs. There will be a car-pushing competition, a horse archery tutorial, and a queen horse show. Rodeo riders and their horses from Győr, the so-called Devil's Riders, will be coming, and from Hortobágy, a stud show will be closing the event on Saturday and on Sunday, the director of the competition said. This year is the 12th national gallop. The head organizer of the competition said they have reached outstanding achievements since the beginning. One of the nicest achievements of the national gallop is that an adult generation has grown up for whom it's completely natural to use the words horse race, horse and equestrian, and to have horses as friends. It is a strange statistics, but the number of books on horses has risen in the past years, and the number of children who apply for equestrian classes has grown as well, the head organizer said. Public media will again dedicate special attention to the national gallop this year. More channels, among them M1, will give live on-location reports as well as stream it. The national gallop will be held on the third weekend of October on the 19th and 20th. The venue will remain the usual one. It will take place at Híradó Square, where the racetrack will be made out of special sand in only a few days.
Well, if you haven't checked out Hungary's budding scientific scene, this weekend is your chance. That's because this Friday and Saturday will be the Night of Researchers. It will feature more than 3,000 programs offered at 150 venues in 53 Hungarian towns and cities. Some of the activities will be held at universities, research labs, libraries, and museums, who will all be opening their gates to the general public with extended hours. The Hungarian National Philharmonic Orchestra has opened its musical season with Béla Bartók's Bluebeard's Castle as part of its show called Three Works by Bartók. This is just one of many concerts that will be performed this season by the Philharmonic, led by music director Zsolt Hamar. It's no wonder that Hungary's main cultural shrine, the Műpa in Budapest, chose them as the group of the year to work with. And that's all for now, but we'll also be back the next night live right after the news in Hungarian at 11 p.m. local time. You can also catch us in repeats and online. Please stay tuned now, if you can, for our new shows in German, Russian, and Chinese. Thanks very much for watching, and viszontlátásra!